This slideshow will discuss the importance of a task analysis for learning psychomotor skills and how to create one to use in a physical education class. The primary goal of a task analysis is to break down a complex psychomotor skill into observable performance criteria and simple, rememberable cues. This is essential because many sports and physical activity skills are very complex. Think about all the steps involved in hitting a tennis serve, kicking a soccer ball, or successfully doing a power clean. These skills must be broken down and demonstrated so that they are accessible to new learners. This is critical in physical education because learning new physical skills can be frustrating and challenging, especially when students are not making noticeable progress quickly or their peers are observing their not so successful attempts. On this slide is the template for the task analysis of a psychomotor skill. Note that more rows can be added to the All Steps in Order section, as many psychomotor skills may have 8 or more steps to break down the whole skill in sufficient detail. For the first section, the skill is broken down into its component steps, which is most often completed by watching a video of mastery performance and highlighting the key steps in performing the whole skill. Then, for each step to perform the skill, the educator comes up with at least one cue word or phrase. These cues should be concise and rememberable so that students can repeat them to help improve their performance's accuracy. In the learner section, the learner's experience, skill level, and unique needs are described. In the task section, the number of successful trials out of the number of total trials is defined to identify a mastery level for performance of the skill. In the environment and conditions section, the specific parameters for performing the skill are identified, such as distance from the target, speed and size of the ball, and learning during in-game play or during isolated skills practice. As shown on the previous slide, the goal of a task analysis is to break down a complicated skill into several component parts, and then to describe cue words for each part of the skill. The information on the left of the template, in which the skill is broken down into its component steps, should be as descriptive and detailed as possible without being confusing and overwhelming. This level of detail and attention demonstrates that the teacher is genuinely invested in learning about mastery performance of the skill, and can help students of all skill levels improve their performance. Furthermore, complex motor skills can be very challenging, so using a task analysis helps make them more accessible to all learners. A new learner cannot plan how to execute a psychomotor skill unless they've been given a demonstration and description of the skill. And as they better understand each step, they can better connect all the steps together into fluid and accurate performance of the whole skill. Also, note that the physical education teacher does not have to excel at performing all psychomotor skills. They simply have to be able to apply their cues accurately and appropriately and give positive reinforcement whenever possible and corrective feedback as necessary. Skilled students can also serve as role models and skill demonstrators as well. In a task analysis, each step should have at least one cue word or phrase listed. Effective cues are short, easily understandable, and rememberable. Contrarily, providing a lengthy cue which sounds like a verbal description of the skill part will not help students learn. They'll just forget the verbal feedback. Furthermore, the best cues often prompt an action, such as step or snap wrist, or make a visual comparison, such as make a T with your body. When the student can make a mental connection between moving their body and a verbal cue given by the teacher, both performance of the skill part and the verbal cue are strengthened. Finally, although each step for performing the skill should have cues, only 2 or 3 cues should be used to teach the whole skill. This is all students can remember at one time. Providing more than 2 or 3 cues is overwhelming and prevents the student from focusing on the most important parts of the movement. Teachers should aim to help students perform the psychomotor skill as automatically and fluidly as possible. So providing a single cue which leads to performing several skill components correctly is highly effective. Additional cues unused in the skill demonstration may be helpful for correcting mistakes as needed, or for refining a student's performance after they've achieved a high level of proficiency. The learner section in the task analysis describes the student's experience level with the skill. Students in PE will have a wide range of skill levels, so the task analysis should be designed so that students with no experience can easily learn the skill through the use of simple cues. Additionally, the teacher should describe environments and equipment which can challenge both novice learners and experienced learners. Also, if the students have had prior experience with the skill in the same physical education class, the teacher may include new modifications, variations, or challenges to make the task more difficult and engaging. Next, the task section describes what successful performance of the skill looks like. For example, this could be accurately displaying at least 3 out of 4 critical skill criteria on 7 out of 10 attempts. The teacher should very clearly demonstrate what accurate performance of the whole skill looks like, then should emphasize the most critical components of the skill so students can focus their learning. The environment and conditions section describes the specific setting in which skill performance will occur. This includes factors such as the distance to the target, the speed of the ball, and the size of the ball or target. Additionally, learning and assessment may occur in isolated settings, in which skills are practiced independent of other stimuli or demands, such as partner skills practice, or in authentic environments where social interaction, cognitive processing, and psychomotor skill execution are combined, such as during live games. Authentic environments promote transfer of skills, but isolated settings are more practical for quickly assessing many students. Based on the learner's skill level and the teacher's learning expectations, equipment and conditions may be modified to make a task more or less challenging, such as catching a smaller ball to increase difficulty, helping learners of all skill levels grow and succeed. On this slide are a few teaching strategies which can be helpful for learning psychomotor skills. The first strategy is segmentation, which is when one part of the skill is practiced until it is learned, then a second part is added, and so on until the whole skill is practiced. Segmentation is a type of part practice which is helpful when motor skills are complex, and the idea of building upon previous learning reinforces each step of the whole skill. Simplification is another teaching strategy in which the difficulty of the target skill is reduced. For example, the net is lowered or the rules are modified. Simplification helps emphasize continuous physical activity and progress towards learning, rather than demanding perfection without modifications. Another type of teaching strategy is fractionization or fractionation, in which 2 or more parts of a complex skill are practiced separately. For example, practicing dribbling and shooting separately. Many students may not be ready to practice 2 related complex skills together, and practicing the skills independently reduces cognitive processing demands and allows full focus on each skill. On the other hand, whole practice is when the entire skill is practiced in one fluid motion, which is effective for learning rhythm and timing of skills, which are performed very quickly. Whole practice is also valuable when the components of the skill cannot be easily separated, such as during continuous motor skills like running. Finally, whole practice is when the whole skill is practiced, then a challenging part is practiced, then the whole skill is practiced again, and the process repeats as necessary to reinforce the student's learning. These teaching methods can all be used in coordination with an effective task analysis to help students learn complex motor skills. Thank you for watching, and how will you help students learn challenging psychomotor skills?